I'm Eileen Nash. Join me every week as we meet interesting people who will teach you new, creative ways to manage stress and embrace vitality in your life. Grab a cup of tea and join me for this adventure. Today's guest is Laima Kathleen Graham. She's an author, a dreamer, and a seer. She shares the process of shedding your old skin, snake yoga, and the snake breath. She can be found at dancingpriestess.com. See me gather my mojo to dance with the snakes. Welcome to Restore Your Caring Soul. My special guest today is Laima. She is a friend of mine, but she's a very talented person. She's an author, a visionary dancing priestess. She's a seer. She's just many different accomplishments to her name. I met Laima at a painting event, and I remember we went outside and we both said, "Oh, when were you born?" and we both realized that we're both Sagittarius and have quite a bit in common.
Yes.
You're the inventor of snake yoga. Tell me a little bit about yourself as far as how you came to understand that you had the gifts of being a seer.
Well, it wasn't an easy journey, I have to admit. I came from a family that were Catholics, but very redneck Christians. So the first time I knew for sure that I was psychic and that I could see the future was sadly when I knew that my sister was going to die. And I was only 17, going on 18, and my sister was sweet 16. And I had a vision that she was going to die. And she had an illness, but she died tragically from a complication with that. And so it was something that took me a very long time to get over, but to understand what I had seen. She was painting a beautiful painting of a girl in a forest, and the sort of thought came across the screen of my mind's eye that it was a vision, a foreboding, that painting was a foreboding of her death. And, you know, I mean, I'm only like 17. When it came true, I kind of thought I was crazy and I couldn't speak about it to anyone because I didn't want to be perceived as crazy or a witch or evil or, you know, and so, but it had been happening long before that for, you know, many, many years since I was a child. I remember one vision in first grade of my sister and I getting separated, and I saw the exact details of how that happened in a dream. I'm a dreamer as well. Often things come to me in dreams, so I need a lot of sleep so that I can listen and see into the dreams to perceive what their meanings are. It's a blessing and a kind of a bit of a curse when, you know, you see things that you don't necessarily want to see or you don't understand. And it took me, as I was going to say, it took me many years to come to an understanding of it and how it was a gift, and that it certainly wasn't my fault that my sister died. But yes. You know, when you're young and nobody in your family has the same gift as you have, you don't really know. So fortunately, I was led to a few good people who helped me with that.
Thank you for sharing that story about your sister, because well, that's just a deep wounding, but also then you couldn't ignore your gift anymore.
Right.
And I think, well, kind of especially I think in the Catholic Church, at least from my experience, because I grew up Catholic, that was seen as, well, just not really acceptable, although so many people want to have a reading. There's not one person I know that doesn't want to have a reading at some point. And when did you first start doing readings for other people or for yourself?
I think I might have been 10 or 12, and I did a lot of my own study. I was very an inner child in many ways, and very studious. I had took out lots of books on tarot and divination, and I studied it with the goddess oracle. And I like working with the deities because the goddesses represent all of these divine aspects of ourselves.
How much do you need to know the goddesses to be able to work with these cards?
You don't have to know anything. These cards, I didn't bring the book out, but they come with a beautiful book that describes each one of them and tells you how to work with that particular deity.
So one of the things I'd like to do with you today is to just show people, sort of demystify it. There is a whole unknown aspect about reading the cards. I'd like to just demystify it and make it a little more accessible to someone.
So what we do is I'll have you shuffle the cards, and you can pick 3 goddesses, and I will read for you what these goddesses have to say. So I find that it's a much easier way than it's more accessible for me anyway at this point than doing tarot. So this is a simple divination of using these deities, and I can tell you what they mean, and we'll show them.
Right, and I have worked with this deck as well, and it's not one theology or mythology that these goddesses are from. It borrows from Celtic and Nordic and Japanese, Egyptian. Yes, I love them very much.
Hold the cards, and you don't have to have a question. You can just do it and say, you know, whatever the divine wants me to know. Or you can have a question, and you don't have to say your question out loud. You don't have to tell me unless you want to. And you can think about what it is, and then use your left hand to draw the cards, because the left hand is usually the intuitive side.
My question is about this show.
The show, okay. Well,
And-
let's see
and
who
I may-
showed up for you. How wonderful. Okay.
Look at that.
We have the goddess Artemis, the goddess Uzumi, and the goddess Lakshmi. And these are from 3 different pantheons. Artemis, and she is from the Greeks, and she's also known as Diana, the huntress, and she's actually the goddess of Sagittarius.
Get out.
See the archer? The
Yes, I
archer?
do.
Yeah. And so she is the goddess of selfhood, about claiming yourself and what is rightfully yours, and being liberated and free to go after what it is that's truly yours. And she was known as the huntress. But it really, not so much as hunting animals as going after, hunting for what it is that is your true purpose. And then she got the goddess Uzumi, and this goddess is a Japanese goddess. And she's a character. She's kind of a wild woman, and laughter is very, very important. When you draw this goddess, it means you need to really laugh a lot. Laughter is a very healing medicine. And then you got the goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance, and she's a Hindu. She is standing on a lotus with elephants bathing her, and she's actually rising out of the ocean on that lotus, on that beautiful lotus. With these deities, we're going to look at her question, which is about the show. So what I'm going to say about this is, my head is that not only is it about you personally, about your personal quest, and as of the huntress, as you know, it's your personal quest for selfhood, but it's also for the viewers, because we're all on this quest for finding ourselves and going out. And what is it that I'm going to use my terms, what is it that the goddess wants us to do with our lives? What is it that is serving the highest purpose for ourselves and for the planet? So that's how I'm reading it for you, is that's what the show is doing for the viewers.
Oh, thank you.
It's going to help
because
them.
That's my aim.
Yeah. I relate that to the show and to your work with women. It is kind of helping them to come out of themselves, come out of the hiding, and be more free and shine their light. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because each of the guests basically has been someone it took me time to find, and they taught me, I learned something.
Yes, because you've been on this quest.
Yeah.
You've been on the quest, the hunt. And then we finally, the last card is Lakshmi. She's the Hindu deity of abundance. Related to your question is, I think this show is going to bring a lot of abundance to your life in many forms. It doesn't necessarily have to be money. So she is a deity that we invoke when we need money and we need to up-level our prosperity consciousness. So she's right here for you. So I feel like she will bring you a lot of prosperity. And we'll see. Did you want to pull an angel?
I would love to pull an angel card.
I like the angels because everybody can relate to angels. Yeah.
Patience.
Patience, okay.
So let's go inside and meet your snakes.
That sounds great.
We are with Lady Miss Snakes in her dance studio. And this is actually my first time to handle any kind of a snake. And I was pretty, well, let's just say I was a little apprehensive and afraid to move and this, that, and the other. But tell us about these snakes. What are their names? And
Okay, well, this one that I'm holding, his name is Monty, like Monty Python.
Oh.
And these two snakes have been with me since I was pregnant with my son, and he's 28. So these snakes have been with me for 29 years. Yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful creatures. And this one's name is Nidaba, which means serpent of life, serpent of wisdom.
Beautiful.
And it's a Sumerian name that I got from studying goddess history. So they are both ball pythons, and they are very gentle and sweet snakes. They like to ball up, that's why they're named ball pythons. I dance with them. I've been dancing with them, as I said, since I was 9 months pregnant with my son, and he's 28. So I've been dancing with them for about 30 years. They've been my really lovely companions. And we were talking about stillness. And snakes are actually very still creatures. They only really move quickly to catch their prey, or if they're afraid, if they've been alarmed in any way, and then they scurry away. These snakes in particular really like stillness and just sitting. They're very much creatures that can teach meditation through the power of their stillness and through the power of their breath.
So you had told me about that they have healing qualities.
Yes, yes.
So describe that, please. Because I'm a little nervous, so I wonder, does she feel my nervousness and I would like to relax?
Yeah, well, the way to relax is to sync your breathing with theirs, and this is the way I teach that. So we use what I have developed called snake breath. It's very simple practice, very calming, soothing breath, and it's very cooling, so it's perfect in the summertime to practice that. If you are a woman who gets heated, then do that breath. It's so easy. And 3 rounds of the serpent breath will cool you down and get you more centered. So
And
the
are you-
snakes taught me how to breathe. They breathe with their whole body, from the
really?
top of their heads all the way down to the tip of their tails. Their whole body, because their whole body is a spine. It's one long spine.
True.
So that's how they breathe, through their whole bodies.
So, and when you're talking about heated, you're not just talking about because it's hot, because it's humid. You're talking about being mad or
Yes, it can be emotional,
Or
it can be
hormonal.
Yeah. So the snake yoga practice that I developed as a result of having them as my pets and my teachers has to do with that very energy about helping women in the menopausal years to cool down but still work with their kundalini in a very lunar, calming way rather than an electric way. It works with it in a magnetic way. I teach the snake yoga for women, but I also teach women how to dance with them, and really they are the teachers not only of the breath and meditation but also of dance, because of the way they undulate
Sinuous.
through their sinuous body, and they, so it's, if you just even put a little bit of a sway in your body, you can, feel more connected with the serpent energy.
What's the name of your book?
My book is Dancing the Inner Serpent, Memoirs of a Suburban Snake Priestess.
Well, that sounds very fitting.
Yes, it tells the journey of how I became a snake priestess, and all these different things that happened to me along the way. There's a lot of humor in it, and a lot of emotion, and all the different things that I did with my life.
And so with this, talking about this shedding the skin, you do an online course, don't you?
Right.
And it's shedding your...
It's called Shedding Your Old Skin Movement. It's a movement practice, and it's through sacred movement, and it's 5 classes online. Each class is about 20 minutes, and it's very simple meditative movement that you just follow along with, and then there's a resting period. And it's based on the 5 elements.
From Chinese medicine.
Eastern. Eastern thought. So the 5 elements, I think I start with air, and then we move to fire. Fire's the heart, air is more in the head.
Right.
So we start with movements of the head. The fire is the heart, so it's movements that move the heart energy. And then we move to the belly, and that is water. Mm-hmm. And then we move to the root and the legs, and that's earth. And then we finish with spirit. I introduced that concept of shedding your old skin because that's why snakes are the symbol. The serpent is the symbol of immortality. In the goddess philosophy, we talk about birth, death, and rebirth, and those cycles of continuity. And they're very lovely, healing creatures. And as I said, they teach us about the breath and meditation and stillness and silence, because they don't have a voice. They don't have a native cry like most animals do. They have a warning hiss,
Right.
but that's it.
What are some of the things she might learn or experience?
Well, I would say movement and sensuality and meditation, but also to, shed her old skin, to change her life, to change her story.
Should we do a little movement?
Yeah, we can do a little movement. You're brave. Braveness. I mean,
Thank you, Lema.
This will help you shed your old skin just from being brave enough to hold and commune with the serpent. The serpent can help you be brave to make these changes, to shed your old skin. And You know, the serpent is the oldest creature on the planet as well, and the most sensitive and intuitive. They feel all the earth changes with their belly because they are on their bellies on the earth. So they are associated with the goddess. They're associated with the menstrual cycle by the, shedding of the lining of the woman's uterus on her monthly cycle is symbolic. They're very gentle, loving creatures. They're non-poisonous, and they do enjoy having women hold them and dance with them and move their energy.
So how do we do the movements with the snakes?
Well, you can just, as you are doing right now, you can just hold her and sway, and you can do your snake breaths. You can close your eyes and you can feel just move with them. Now, I'm a belly dancer, so I like to get in a little bit of undulation. So you can undulate, you can sway, you can make figure eights with your hips.
She's wondering what's going on.
They like it.
They don't mind laughing, loud laughing.
No, they're good. And you can make any kind of movements that feel good for you.
Okay, well, interesting. Elaine, you're such a character. I'm so glad I've met you.
It was destiny.
Yes.
Destiny.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lema, for sharing your snacks.
Welcome. I'm so glad you were so brave. So brave.
The next episode of Restore Your Caring Soul is another installment on alternative healing. You will meet Nancy Raquella, a gifted acupuncturist. Watch as I volunteer as patient to demonstrate the use of the needles.